Hey y'all, welcome back to another banging video, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing with y'all what a realistic day in the life of a pharmacy tech looks like. I've had a few requests for this video because a few of y'all were messaging me trying to see exactly what pharmacy techs do and how their shift goes about. So I am here to talk to you guys today about that. So there's quite a few things, so I'm just gonna jump straight into it. But before we get started, if y'all could please like, comment, and subscribe, I would truly appreciate it because we're on a road to 10K. Let's get it. So first thing is first, we're just gonna jump straight into it. Pharmacy techs, just like any position, they do more. Every position usually does more than what people just assume, right? Like I always say this, people always assume that baggers just bag, cashiers only ring stuff up. Like they don't acknowledge the fact that you have 10 other job responsibilities and that you have to clean and that you have to this, that, and the third. People don't ever really take that into consideration. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and clear that up for y'all so you can kind of make a better and accurate decision on like, is this something that I want for myself? So I am currently a pharmacy tech at Publix. This video is not sponsored, paid, promoted, nothing. These are just like genuinely my truthful, raw and honest thoughts and opinion, based on my experience or like my friends' experience, stuff like that. So none of it is just made up or being told that I have to do. All right, none of my videos on my channel are like that. I just genuinely enjoy helping y'all, so do with that as you will. Anyway, so I want to start off by saying the first thing that yes, pharmacy techs do is that they do obviously count medication, like count pills and stuff. I feel like that's what we're known that we do the most, and we do a lot of that. So like, yeah, those people who assume that, they are correct, but at the same time we also do obviously like other things. So I'm just gonna go ahead and in this video obviously explain exactly how kind of like my shift goes down. I usually for the most part work 1 to 2 times a week as a pharmacy tech. This was not always like this. There were times where in this company I was working almost full-time. When I was in the pharmacy, I did a lot more hours than what I'm doing now. But as of recently, I am only working 1 to 2 days because of just other things that I got going on. I'm in school studying pharmacy, which is pretty hard. I'm about to start applying soon. I also have another job, and yeah, just lots of other things, and like my filming, I'm trying to take off with that. But in terms of like me working, yeah, I'm only working 1 to 2 days a week, and if I can do more then sure, but if I can't then I just stick to that. So genuinely my shift is always the closing shift. So on the 1 day a week that I work, I always close. So I'll come in like at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Pharmacy always closes at 9 p.m. during the week, and then 6 and 7 p.m. on the weekend. So I work on the weekdays though, so I have to be there till 9 p.m. So I'll just get in between like basically 2 to 4 p.m. within those times, like whether they assign me at 3 or they assign me at 4, and then I work till 9. So I do work the closing shift, which I've always said, like, well, I guess I recommend it more, especially like for baggers. I think the middle shift, you avoid a lot of that cleaning stuff, but as an opening or as a closing, I feel like you obviously have the responsibility to make sure everything is good when you open and everything's good when you close. But obviously during the day, it's also probably like busier, so it's really just up to you what you rather do. I honestly rather clean than to have to deal during the day with just so much going on, which I have, so I have experience with that, but currently I'm just closing. And you get home a little bit later and stuff, so a lot of people don't like closing, and I picked up that shift to make it work because it's only a few of us obviously in the pharmacy. So what my shift honestly consists of is when I get into work, like I said, I'll go in like at 3 p.m. or something, or 4, and as soon as I get in, I head over to the window because usually there's going to be a tech there. Obviously, like, I'm there to relieve the tech, and sometimes the tech is going to stay an extra 30 minutes or an hour. Like, they don't automatically leave as soon as you get there, but they're probably like trying to wrap up their things. There's certain like responsibilities that each person has to do, so they're probably trying to finish whatever it is that they're working on or whatever it is that they got to do before they go. And I want to make it obviously as easy as I can for them, so I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that window, which pharmacists usually hate doing, so that that tech that was already there can kind of like finish what they're doing without having the distraction and back and forth of having to go to the window to take care of a customer and back to their computer or to counting their pills or whatever. You know, I don't want the whole like distraction to get in the way of like they're picking, you know, a customer picking up a medication, and like if there's a problem, because there's always a problem, and sometimes, not always, but yeah. So that's the kind of like the first thing I do. I mean, obviously the first thing I do is like say hi to everybody. Hi, you know, how you guys doing, whatever. I'm always like that really peppy person in my workplace. I love what I do, and I'm just naturally a very like bright, and like just the way I portray myself is just always just very energetic. And so I feel like as soon as I get there, I can tell sometimes that the people who are already there are probably like stressed out their mind, but I'm just gonna go ahead and be like, hi, like, you know, hi, how y'all doing? And I'm gonna head over to that window if there's somebody there. If obviously there's nobody there, then I'll head over to the computer that I work on, which is gonna be whatever computer the other tech is not on, and I'm gonna go ahead and sign out whoever was on that computer and sign myself in. Okay, like this helps avoid errors, because hypothetically, like if somebody's using your computer under your name and they make an error, it's gonna fall on you. And so I'm pretty big on like doing that, because that has happened before. Someone's made errors and then they think it's another person because, you know, they never signed out or things like that. So I'm gonna most likely sign out of that computer so that I can then sign in with my login and, you know, start seeing what's going on. So as soon as I get a hold of my screen under my name and stuff, I'm gonna basically see like what's going on, right? Like, of course you can ask like, oh, has it been busy today, whatever, but you want to see like what's really going on in terms of like how many prescriptions are coming in, how many do we have to fill. So you got to see that for yourself, and that comes with you checking like certain tabs in the computer. Another really big thing I suggest for y'all to do is to ask your pharmacist like, hey, like where do you want me to jump on right now? Like, has it been busy today? Where would you like me to start? But for the most part, they're gonna refer you to like they're not gonna tell you, yeah, start cleaning. Like, no, like that's always gonna be, especially if you're the closer, you can do all that little stuff at the end, you know. They're just probably gonna refer to you to like go to the computer and start filling prescriptions or typing prescriptions, which is like the biggest thing that you really do and the most that we get. So the most like type of work that we get. So I'll go into my computer and I'll go ahead and check, for example, data entry, and like see, okay, is it called data entry? I'm sorry guys, it's like 2 in the morning right now. I just came home from my niece's like birthday thing, and I'm trying to think, is it called data entry? I'm gonna insert the name here if it's not data entry, but yeah, I'm gonna check basically when doctors send in prescriptions and we have to type up the prescription. I'm gonna go ahead and check that, because that's the first step that like you have to do, obviously, before you fill it. So filling comes after you type it. So I'm gonna check step 1, which is typing. And honestly, step 1 is actually called inbound, which is, and this is only like, this is really like if you work at the grocery store that I work at, because I know like Walgreens and stuff, they have a different system, but essentially it's the same kind of like concept. You're gonna check to see what has come in, okay, whatever y'all call it, wherever you're from, because I know there's pharmacy techs that watch me that don't specifically work where I work. Wherever y'all work, the first thing you want to check is kind of like that, where, you know, or after you ask your pharmacist what they want you to work on, the first thing you want to do is like check like what has come in, right? Because your product of like how many prescriptions you got to fill might be empty, but if there's like 20 prescriptions that need to be typed up, that's going to be 20 prescriptions that are going to end up needing to be filled. So you want to check to see what's come in, whether that's in your inbound and or your data, whatever, and then you're going to type it up. Once you type it up, you can obviously send it to be filled, and then you want to fill it. So when I go in there, I'll see like, does anything need to be typed up? If there's nothing that needs to be typed up, I'll go ahead and head straight towards product, which is just like where you see like what needs to be filled, and I'll help fill if needed. If there is something in data, I'll type it up. If there's only like one prescription in data and somebody else is working on it, I'll still head over to product and just start filling. Like, you know, that's the main thing, is that you want to fill, you want to have these prescriptions ready. If when I get there, if I see that the counter is looking a little bit messy, I'm not gonna lie, or like, for example, the pharmacist, after he verifies the medication, he puts it on the side. I always scan it into the bins, because you want to keep that counter as empty as possible. You don't want to work in a messy area because you're dealing with lots of little pills. This is not a joke. This is something that needs to be serious. So I don't like to have a lot of stuff laying around or anything that can possibly get lost. So I'll go ahead and, like, if there is bags that are ready to be like basically sold, then I go ahead and just scan them into the bins, and that, you know, that always works pretty well. And like I said, I do the product for the most part. I think the window is something that you really just get caught up, because a lot of times, sometimes I'll be like, dang, like I really didn't type today much, I really didn't dispense today much, like just an average of, you know, a few medications, I mean a few prescriptions. But I'll be like, a lot of my time always goes to the window when people pick up, and you know, you deal with like also people dropping off, and so you got to be alert on both ends. Like, are you dropping off? If they're dropping off, I got to put them in the system, I got to process it, I got to ask the pharmacist like, hey, you know, do we have this, whatever. If they're picking up, I got to dispense their medication, I got to you know, put it through their insurance if they have, and I have to ask them, and just a lot of time gets taken away with like helping the actual customers. And especially me, who I'm very good at customer service, I feel like when I get there, that's kind of like they leave that department especially to me. Like, yes, I'm more than capable of typing and, you know, filling the bottles, like filling the vials and stuff. I'm more than capable of doing that. I've done it a million times, but I'm also very, very good with the customers, and I feel like that's not something that all techs are good at, because you really do lose your patience in the pharmacy. Like, I feel like it's a stressful job. So I have a lot of patience because I deal with kids, so I'm just able to just de-escalate a lot of situations, and just, you know, I guess that's kind of like why they leave it to me. So a lot of my time goes to that as well. Before my shift ends, I think the four main things that I have to do for sure is I have to make sure there's no prescriptions and product dispensing. So like, you know, I gotta leave it empty basically. Everything needs to be filled by the end of the day. So if I don't know, if by 8 p.m. there's still 10 prescriptions, I gotta fill those by 9 p.m. because I'm not gonna leave them for the next day. It's just like a responsibility to have everything done before you go. So product needs to be cleared, insinuating also that kind of like data is gonna be cleared, because everything should be typed. And then, you know, granted, if you work in a really busy store, you might not be able to fill everything, and control medications, pharmacy techs never fill, so those obviously are always gonna stay in there. That's the first thing I have to do. And then the second thing that I have to do is make sure return to stock is done. Return to stock is basically like medications that have been sitting in the bins ready to be sold that haven't been picked up in the last 2 weeks. We return them back to the shelves, right? Because there's somebody else probably waiting for that medication, and obviously the person who needed that medication never came to pick it up. We're not just gonna keep it there forever. It's taking up space in our bins. We need our bins. We also need the medication for potentially somebody else. It hasn't been touched by the patient or by any patient, so we're like legally allowed to obviously like dispense that. So I just go ahead and make sure that return to stock is done. It's just basically a list, and you know, if y'all need a video explaining on how to do each and every one of these things, I can go ahead and do that for y'all, but I'm really just trying to cover the gist of it. So return to stock needs to be done, and usually the tech that's there prior to me getting there always has return to stock done for me, which is like amazing, because I feel like I get there during rush hour. A lot of people are leaving their jobs between that 4 and 7 p.m. So the window is always busy around that time. So a lot of my time is just strictly on like taking care of patients, and it's not till after that I'm able to start kind of like doing my job like responsibilities. So having return to stock done really does help me. But I have had to obviously like do it before, and it's still attainable. So yeah, return to stock has to be done. The other thing that has to be done before I go is the cycle count, which is basically like you counting medication and just writing how much quantity of each medication that we have. So I'll print out a list and it'll give me like, let's say 20 medications, and then I'll go to each of those medications and just write down the number of pills that we have, and it just helps keep like an inventory count. And the last thing I gotta do is like obviously clear out the trash, make sure everything is clean, put vials for the person who's working the next day, put lids, put just like refill everything basically. So I got to make sure all that is done and everything is clean and everything is thrown out by the end of the night. Granted, people who open the pharmacy have different responsibilities, because if you open, you have to be receiving orders, you have to put all the medication orders away, like all the new meds that we get, you got to put them away, and these orders are not every day, so it really just depends on like a specific day. But yeah, every person has a different responsibility, a different task. But as a closing pharmacy tech, and based on my personal experience, which I do this like weekly, that's really what goes down, and that's really what you have to do. And I always make sure I get it done. So yeah, if y'all have any other questions y'all would like to ask me, don't be scared to let me know. Oh, I guess another side note is, if it's the end of the month and you have expired medications like in the shelves, you have to pull them out, and that's something that needs to be done every month. And every tech is assigned to a different like shelf, and so yeah, you got to make sure your shelf doesn't have any expired medications on it. She scared me for a second. But yeah, that concludes today's video, guys. So thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next video, and if you have any other suggestions, don't be scared to let me know. Bye.